Hi, this is Dr. Graves from the CSUN Geography Department and geographyplanet.org. This is a video tutorial that should help students draw multiple samples from a population. And in this case, we're drawing samples based on census tracts and whether they have one of three kinds of businesses. Do they have a donut shop? Do they have a medical marijuana dispensary? Or do they have a pharmacy? And we're going to ask some statistical software the question, are these samples statistically similar? Can we treat them as a group, or are they statistically distinct? And therefore we would assume that they represent three different populations. We're going to do this first, and we're going to draw the sample using ArcGIS Pro, and then we're going to export our samples to a DBF file. We will open them up in Excel and use Excel's data analysis tool that will do the ANOVA test for us. First thing you ought to do, as always, is to save your project as something else. I'm going to save mine as ANOVA instructor, and then we'll get to the drawing of the samples. There are probably 50 different ways of doing this, and I'm not certain that this way is the best, but it's the way that I have found that works for me, and so I will share it with you. To draw the sample, we will do as we have been doing, if you're in my class, by doing a spatial join, identifying neighborhoods that have one of these three types of businesses in them, and asking the software to indicate that on a new attribute table or a new layer file. So right-click on your San Fernando Valley tract layer and select Joins and Relates from the pop-up window. So we want to select Spatial Join. The target feature is the one that you just selected, San Fernando Valley Tracts. The join feature, we will start with donut shops, then we will proceed to pharmacies and then dispensaries. So click on donut shops. The output feature, I'm going to call this something like, could call it junk 1 or junk A, because this is a temporary file. We're only going to use it once, and then we'll get rid of it. So everything here looks correct. We want to then select from the fields database down here and scroll down to the bottom. The facility name is the thing from the donut shop list that we want to keep. And we want to get a count of the places within each of these census tracts that have a name. We don't need the address, city, zip, any of that. So I'm just deleting that to kind of clean up the resultant file. We will keep this set of data because I may have you run a couple of different tests on it. We'll start with the median household income, but we could also look at per capita income or median age or percent Hispanic or something as well. So once you have that set up, where you have facility name here, click OK. And what's going to happen is the software is going to produce a new layer that replicates the San Fernando Valley tract map. But if you open the attribute table, you will notice that it has all of the columns of data from the original, but it added two things. It added this join count column, and if we were to sort by join count, we will find that there are neighborhoods, if I highlight it, these neighborhoods, this one has 3 donut shops in it, and these have 2, and so on, and it's given us a count. And if you were to scroll all the way over to the right, it also has a facility underscore in, a count of that, which should match the join count. All right, so make sure you clear your attributes, and you can sort of close out that table. Now what we're going to use junk A, which is our copy of the first one with some added stuff, to do another spatial join. So repeat the process. This time the join features, though, will be pharmacies, and we can call this output feature junk B. Once again, go to the fields output. I will try to highlight this so you can see what I'm doing. And facility in 1, that's the facility name for pharmacies. We once again don't need the address, city, zip, inspection date, score, type, latitude, or longitude of any of these. It would be nice to get the count. Again, redundant because it's going to put a second join count field. Once you have that ready, click OK. And now there's junk B. You could click on the color swatch here, and if you wanted to switch it to a new color just to remind yourself that these are 2 different things, that might be useful. But the last thing we're going to do is right click, do joins and relates, spatial join, do it one more time using junk B as your target feature now, and the join feature on this last one will be now the dispensaries. And the output feature, we may call this something like ANOVA final join. Call it whatever you want, as long as you can remember. And then here's the slight difference is as I scroll down here through the fields that we want to keep, the field that we want to keep now is not ID1. Instead of facility name, the name of the dispensary is called collective, and so we'll keep collective, and then we can get rid of all of these other extraneous columns of data, and the merge rule, set that to count. There you go. Click OK, and ANOVA join final. May want to change the color of that to, I don't know, maybe green, just because that's the good one. That's the one we'll use. Open the attribute table, and you will notice join count, and join count. If you find that confusing, one of the things you can do is to click on the View tab here associated with Table and click on Aliases. Join count with no number is the donut shops, join count _1 are the pharmacies, and join count 1, 2 are the census tracts that have a dispensary. I'm going to sort this descending, and we could take a look here at highlight some of those. Oh, that's incorrect. This is target FID 1-2 is actually the neighborhoods with pharmacies. One of the utilities of doing things the way we did is that we come over here to collectives, and if we sorted collectives by descending, we would see, oh wow, there's some neighborhoods with 6 collectives in them, and indeed we can see that that is true. So all right, so this is pretty good. I'm going to right click here, this attribute table, make sure that you have everything cleared, none of the selections there, and let's go to data and export table. And we don't want to export it into a geodatabase because that will be difficult. So delete that. We can leave it in some folder, but don't put it in the geodatabase. And then the output name, we could call this San Fernando Valley ANOVA samples 3, because we've drawn 3 samples, and click OK. Just remember where you've saved it. It'll save as a DBF file. Click OK. And then if we open Excel, well, wherever it was, I couldn't find it, but I did come back around to find it. DBase 3, double click, open, and there we have a file. First thing that you want to do before you do anything is to save it as some other format rather than a DBF format. So we're going to just save that as an Excel file, and then we will start the next video from this spot.